Hi, and welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at Transformers Collaborative. This is Transformers crossed with GI Joe. We have the Decepticon Soundwave Dreadnock Thunder Machine with two, I guess, Cobra members, Zarana and Zartan. I'm not going to remember those names. But here we have the box. Soundwave turns into some sort of assault jeep thing. Here we have this box. Inside this box is the two GI Joe people, Zarana and Zartan, that I am not going to open up. Directions and a chain that probably goes on Ravage, but we're not going to mess with that either because I don't care. And here we have the Dreadnock Thunder Machine in front of us. And I again, have never been a GI Joe fan. I don't know any of the media or what's going on here. But this is clearly, it's got like a Cobra symbol on it. The Dreadnok, it's some sort of like assault truck, essentially. We've got a forward-mounted double-barrel turret, which I actually like this because it's got a little chain that you can pull on, feed bullets through, and the barrel spin. That's kind of neat. We do have some pretty big, beefy plastic wheels. Appreciate that on all sides. We have some little flaps and things. It looks like if you have the GI Joe figures, you can stand them and mount them two on either side of the door. So that's 4 guys. Plus, you can open this up and seat 2 more on the inside with a little moving steering wheel. I do like that steering wheel moves. This thing can bring 6 people over, plus the gun, plus, like, I mean, it's got a freaking turbine engine on the back, which is insane. Like, the idea, it's very fun to me, the idea that you would have this seated, and it's, like, sucking in air from the drivers. They'd essentially, like, be buffeted by winds as you're sucking in air through this thing, but you know, whatever. It's silly. It's going to be GI Joe silly, and that's okay. The exhaust is a little off. It's not center line, but we can kind of ignore that. It rolls really nicely. It has like armor over the wheels here, which makes sense to me. It doesn't have armor over the wheels in the front, which makes less sense to me. Overall, it's big, it's beefy, it feels more substantial. Oh, that's funny. We have Ravage, who is hidden here, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, it feels more substantial to me than either Megatron or Bumblebee. And I mean, it's ridiculous. We've got some tampographs and paint, some nice paint, the yellow and the light blue. It looks ridiculous. But I like this more than the previous ones. I like this almost enough that I'm like, do I want to go back and buy Bumblebee again to have like one of each vehicle? But yeah, it's silly. But you know, it is big. It kind of makes me like GI Joe. As much as like I don't care about GI Joe, and I'm not saying I hate GI Joe, but this is cool enough that now I'm like, oh, I kind of get the hype. That being said, it is also a transformer. So we are going to get into that transformation. We do have a little bit of parts forming, which is a little unfortunate, but with it having to do GI Joe stuff is understandable. The first thing is this kind of cage guard we need to pull off, and we are just going to untab it and pull it straight out. It splits in half, and we'll handle it later. We have this gun that we separate. You don't want to pull on the barrels because those will pop right off. Instead, we try and hold the whole thing together, and it comes off. And it also helps hold this front end together, which is a strange front end, right? It feels much more like a sports car front end, and then like a buggy truck behind it. On the back end, we are going to wiggle to separate out this little slot system here, so we can pull the tabs out of the jet engine. We rotate our exhaust, and we push up that clip, and these are some of his weapons that we're going to deal with. We have this knife. We can leave this on during transformation. Next thing, let's do the back. We're going to start by pulling up on the frame that holds our cockpit together, and like I said, that wheel turns nicely. We can fold down this panel. It folds up and collapses away. The rest of this we're going to leave alone. We fold down these two standing panels here, and we can start to lift up these seats, which is I find a little tricky. Maybe push them and lift up. There we go. And they'll just kind of slide up a little bit. Same thing on this side. Pull them up. And that is one connection. The second connection is this panel right here. We are going to pop it, separate it out on both sides, which lets us unfurl these legs just a little bit. With these legs partially unfurled, we can come in and we can untab the rear fender pieces, these back pieces, giving us a little more motion on the legs. They're going to naturally flop out to the side, but that's where we want them to go anyway. If they did stay attached, you'd want to split apart the connecting piece here, but fortunately mine just came out on their own. This panel loves to come loose, so I'm going to stick it back into place if possible. There we go. And we're going to push these forward just to try and keep things out of the way. So with the legs kind of flopped out, they are going to clip solidly in place. And we kind of can see our knee section here, straighten things out on both ends. The feet are going to come up and we just push them into place. The hook is going to feed up and then we just push it back, and when it's flat, it is locked into place. Same thing on this side. Push the hook up, push the back end up, and it's flat. There we go. Then we have this panel just on this left leg. We can close that. And essentially, that's the knees, the lower legs all done. The upper legs are going to twist. We're going to twist these guys to each side. And then we're going to twist the legs forward. Then we can come in and we can close up our legs, folding them up and down like so. We have these two panels on the sides of the vehicle that can be disengaged. You always want to fold the left side one first, the driver's side one, and then the passenger side one on top. They're stacked in a way that is how they evenly fold up. The Ravage just wants to pop out constantly, which is an annoyance with this figure for sure. Get it right. There we go. We can leave this section in the back. We'll stand him up, and we can move our camera up a little bit. Up top with the pieces that were connecting the two halves of the front section apart, we can just pull this apart. These arm sections are, they've got a double hinge on them that we can lift up and out, re-clipping it to the side on both sides. We can come in and rotate this arm piece at the bicep up so the wheels are pointing up. Then we can drop it down. We can rotate out this hood piece, bringing out the elbow and then pushing our thumb in to bring out the arm. Same thing on this side. Drop it down, rotate out, bend the elbow. It is clipped in. There's a little clip that wants to engage, so you just put pressure on it and it'll pop out. Put our thumb in, flip out the wrist, and last thing is reveal our Soundwave head. And here is Soundwave. Let's drop our camera back down. We do have a big Soundwave. He does have his different accessories. So we have these fender pieces, these cage pieces. They're going to come in. There is a slot and a tab that connects like so. We can kind of rest the cage up top. Same thing on this side. Stick it in, rest that cage piece on top. So we moved it essentially from his arms to his shins. That's a bit of parts forming that has to happen. Then the jet engine kind of becomes like a blaster. It only fits if you orient it this way on him, but you can put it right in here. And then this piece can either be mounted up top as well, or it can be handheld like a gun. And here is Soundwave in all his robot glory, and I think he does look pretty awesome. He feels a lot, I mean, he's got a backpack, but he feels just a lot cleaner than Megatron and Bumblebee. He's nice and big and chunky and satisfying. He does have kibble, like he's got these fender pieces on his arms, he's got these cage pieces, he does have the backpack, but overall he just feels like kind of a Soundwave. I have the same complaint that I always have, which is that why did he need to be Soundwave? It doesn't make sense to me. I felt like this could have been any Decepticon. The gimmick of deploying Ravage doesn't seem to integrate into the vehicle mode at all, which to me is a necessity. Soundwave just being G1 Soundwave that has a cassette chest, even though his vehicle doesn't have any feature like that, doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But, I mean, it feels really fun. His head is pretty articulated, nicely painted. I mean, that is a really nicely painted red visor. Good articulation on that neck. The arm, this joint is working itself loose, and I don't know why. This seems to be an issue with build quality in general on these GI Joe crossover pieces. I'm not sure why these have so many issues, whereas the other crossovers don't, but we can force that back into place. And obviously we can see his chest does not want to stay engaged. But the arm can go 360. It can go out that far. It does have, as we saw, bicep swivel. It does have a 90-degree bend. There is no wrist articulation. Same thing due to the nature of his sculpting. There is no waist swivel, which is unfortunate. The legs can go out pretty far. I mean, that's a full split there. The skirts, as long as you kind of pre-move them, they get out of the way for you to kick out as far as you want. Kick back a little bit short, which is unfortunate. I do wish that, you know, a little bit of articulation would always be nice. Thigh swivel, there is a knee bend, not as deep as you might think because of the way he had to transform his knee. And then there is no ankle tilt here. So he's like decently poseable. He's not on the same level as an Legacy Evolutions figure. But for something that turns into a GI Joe vehicle, he's like pretty decently poseable. And of course, the play pattern I didn't talk about. We saw the guns move, but he can deploy a Ravage. And we do have a blue cassette Ravage, which this might be one of my favorite things. Like, I just like Ravage in different colors, the Cobra Ravage. We can pull out these arms on either side. We can pull out the legs. The legs want to swivel. Oh, sorry, we'll pull out the head as well. The head, I like that it kind of comes together. There is a little tab in here that we got to get our fingernail in. There we go. Bring it all the way up. It kind of completes his nose. His nose looks, you know, nice enough. We can separate out the tab on either side here. We can bring down these shoulders. There is like surprising articulation on Ravage. I put that backwards, didn't I? There we go. Put it this way. Same thing on this side. Pull his little paws forward. Bring back the rear butt. Flip out this tail here. And then bring down his legs. And yeah, we've got, I mean, it's a very skinny Ravage, but it is a Ravage that looks really, really nice. I like that sculpting and paint. He does have, like, he's got, you know, feet. He's got elbows. He's got bicep swivel. He's got shoulders. He does have rotation on the back hips. He does have outward rotation. He does have a double jointed hip piece, and he's got paws. So like a lot of little joints in a little cassette piece. And he does look like he's ready to prowl. If we compare him to a GI Joe, you know, he's about waist high. It feels about right. You can put this collar on him. It's silly, but it's fun. I don't think Soundwave's character is one that he would allow someone else to enslave Ravage. But I like a lot about this toy. It's got me kind of wanting to open up the little GI Joe figures. Maybe I'll do that, but that won't be part of the review because all I really want to review is the Transformer aspect of things. But I'll say this, I like this one enough that this isn't a giveaway. I'm not going to give this one away right away. I'm going to hold out. Maybe there's going to be some more GI Joe stuff. If they keep improving like they have improved, going from Megatron, which I really didn't like, Bumblebee was kind of okay. Soundwave, I like. Do I recommend him? I don't think so because he is still $100. There is a lot of toy you could get. Would you buy this for $100 or would you buy Armada Prime? Armada Prime to me is the better toy, but this is getting closer to, oh, I forgot all about his little knifey. We can pull that out, put it in his hand. This is getting closer to where I find like value in the toy. It's unique. The transformation isn't painful. It's kind of fun. He doesn't have a ton of kibble hanging off of him. My really biggest complaint is just that it's Soundwave. If this was like $70 and $60 and it didn't come with Ravage and it was just some other guy that didn't have this chest piece, I think I would prefer that version. I'd prefer a less expensive version that didn't have a transforming Ravage and wasn't Soundwave for a little cheaper. I think that would, make me happy if they repainted it in a different color scheme, gave it like a generic Decepticon thing. That would make me happiest. But as it is, it's still fun. It's the one that I've had the most fun with so far. So that is a quick look at Transformers Collaborative, Transformers Cross GI Joe Soundwave Dreadnock Thunder Machine. Hopefully I got that all right. Do I recommend it? No. At $100, it is hard to recommend. It's got to do a lot of value, but this is the best one so far. If you're a GI Joe fan, I think it's an easy recommendation because it's going to do the GI Joe stuff you want it to do. If you're a Transformers fan and you like weird like little things that are different than the normal Transformers, check this one out. This is, if you want like one Transformers cross GI Joe figure between Megatron, Bumblebee, and Soundwave, this is the best one so far. And that'll be it for today's video. Thanks everybody for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye.